Relationship between sports, exercise, and psychology. Sport and exercise psychology, at its core, is the study of how psychological factors influence performance in sports and exercise settings, as well as how participation in these activities affects an individual's psychological and physical well-being. It encompasses a wide range of topics, from understanding how to enhance athletes' performances to promoting physical activity among the general population. As we venture into the realm of sport and exercise psychology, it's essential to begin with a foundational understanding. Imagine you're watching an intense tennis match. Beyond the agility and physical prowess of the players, have you ever pondered the mental processes driving their performance? That's where sport and exercise psychology steps in, offering insights into how our psychological makeup influences our athletic endeavors and vice versa. Sport and exercise psychology is like the backstage crew of a theater production. While the athletes are center stage, these psychologists ensure that mentally, the performers are ready for the spotlight. It's the study of how psychological factors shape sports and exercise experiences and how, in turn, participating in these activities can affect one's psychological and physical health. If we were to peek behind the curtains, what would a sport and exercise psychologist be busily engaged in? Their roles are multifaceted. They might be working one-on-one with a sprinter, helping them harness the power of visualization to shave seconds off their next race. In another setting, they could be counseling a basketball player through a challenging personal issue that's affecting their on-court performance. They're not just there for elite athletes either. They play a pivotal role in helping regular folks find motivation to stick to a fitness regimen or take the initial steps toward an active lifestyle. Now, you might wonder, how does someone gear up for such an impactful role? It's a journey of academic and practical rigor. Aspirants typically embark on this path with an undergraduate degree in fields like psychology or kinesiology. This is followed by specialized master's or doctoral programs in sport and exercise psychology. Here, they dive deep into subjects like team dynamics, athlete well-being, and the role of motivation in exercise. Depending on where they practice, they might also need licenses or certifications, especially if they're offering therapeutic services. Stepping into the time machine, the history of sport and exercise psychology is rich with intriguing developments. It wasn't just about helping athletes sprint faster or jump higher. It was about understanding the very essence of human performance. In the late 19th century, Norman Triplett noticed that cyclists seemed to perform better when racing against others rather than just the clock. Thus, began one of the earliest formal inquiries into sport psychology. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and we find Pierre de Coubertin, the visionary behind the modern Olympic Games. He didn't just see the games as a spectacle of physical might but believed in the harmony of mind, body, and spirit. His philosophical approach to sport psychology stressed that sports were not just about medals but also about molding character. As decades rolled on, the field matured. The latter half of the 20th century heralded the establishment of dedicated training programs, professional organizations, and journals. Speaking of journals, if you ever peruse a library shelf, you'll find titles like the Journal of Applied Sport Psychology and the Journal of Sport and Exercise Psychology. However, don't bother looking for the Journal of Basic Research in Sport Psychology, it doesn't exist. Sport and exercise psychology is a riveting blend of mind and motion. Whether it's aiding world-class athletes in their quest for glory or helping everyday individuals embrace wellness, the field emphasizes the profound connection between our mental and physical selves. The scientific processes. Within the world of sport and exercise psychology, two primary types of knowledge converge: scientific knowledge and professional practice knowledge. Scientific knowledge is derived from systematic inquiry, typically in the form of empirical research and scholarly investigations. Its focus is to discover, explain, and predict sport and exercise behaviors. Professional practice knowledge, on the other hand, stems from professionals' experiences in real-world settings. It deals with understanding and applying this information in practical situations to address athletes' and exercisers' concerns. Blending these two knowledge bases isn't just useful, it's essential. When sport and exercise psychologists base their professional practices on sound research findings, they stand on more solid ground and can provide better guidance to those they work with. But the experience garnered from real-world situations also adds depth and context to what research tells us. Integrating experiential knowledge with scientific findings allows for a more holistic approach, drawing from both the practical and the theoretical. This discipline isn't monolithic in its approach. Multiple orientations shape the way sport and exercise psychology is viewed. Consider the social psychological orientation, which posits that behavior is determined by a complex interplay between the environment and an individual's personality. An example would be examining how peer pressure in a sports team might influence an athlete's performance. This perspective stands in contrast to, say, a cognitive behavioral orientation that focuses more on how athletes' thought patterns can influence their actions. The field of sport and exercise psychology is evolving, with the Association for Applied Sport Psychology playing a crucial role in promoting applied research and professional practices in this space. But as with any evolving discipline, challenges and trends shape its trajectory. One issue the field grapples with is the involvement of unqualified individuals offering sport psychology consulting. Similarly, there's a noticeable shortage of full-time positions that involve directly consulting with athletes, making the path to such roles competitive and challenging. For those embarking on a journey in sport and exercise psychology, myriad opportunities await. While the traditional roles in academia and research continue to be foundational, emerging roles in consultancy, team-based psychological support, and individualized athlete counseling are becoming more prevalent. An increasing emphasis on ethics and competency marks the field's progression, ensuring that practices align with the best interests of athletes and exercisers. The interest in psychological skills training is also on an upward trajectory, as more coaches, athletes, and teams recognize its importance. However, it's essential to be aware of the current and upcoming trends in this discipline. While there is a rising emphasis on training in clinical psychology and counseling, there's a decrease in the reliance on purely quantitative research methodologies. The field also witnesses an ongoing tension between its academic and applied branches, reflecting the broader challenge of integrating rigorous research with real-world application. Sport and exercise psychology is a dynamic field with both challenges and opportunities. Those passionate about both sports and psychology will find it a rewarding domain, where the potential to positively impact individuals and teams is vast. As the field continues to grow and evolve, it will undoubtedly remain at the intersection of rigorous research and meaningful real-world impact.